Everybody, hello Meeta, hello Aastha. Thank you for being here today. Today we have the team of the Anahata Healing Foundation here to introduce their company, to introduce to us what they are doing and the fabulous service they are giving to people. Meeta, Aastha, may I ask you to introduce yourself, and then we will talk about what people can expect when coming to Anahata Healing Foundation. Meeta, your mic is muted, so I can't hear you.
Yeah, so thank you, Mary. Thank you for having us here. It's always been a pleasure to connect to you because I guess we are on the same frequency. We are doing the same kind of work, and we already know each other and our work. So today I'll be just talking about my foundation, which is the Anahata Healing Foundation. So this was started a few years back. I've been practicing homeopathy since 30 years. It's my fourth decade, you can say. And I've been teaching in this process also. I believe that you grow when you teach. So it's a journey of being a student and teacher at the same time. So since 2004, I've started my institute, which is a research institute of classical homeopathy. And my clinic's name was Kanwar Aastha Homeopathic Clinic. So Aastha is my daughter who's with me today. She has joined me in this journey of healing. And when I started practicing, when I started doing the sensation method, I was introduced to a different realm of energy level. You know, while doing the sensation method, what happens is we reach a zero state, right?
Yeah.
So that zero state has opened many portals of healing. So I took homeopathy to a different level by introducing healing. So different healing modalities have been added to my practice, which is matrix healing, 2-point techniques, energy healings, pranic healings. So when I integrated all these healing techniques, so it went beyond homeopathy. So that's why I named my work as Anahata Healing Foundation. So Anahata is a Sanskrit word which means the heart chakra, Anahat chakra.
I remember, yes.
Yeah. So it's a different modality of healing, which we believe in India, that we have 7 chakras. These are the energy points, and healing has to happen in the etheric body. It's beyond physical mind and body. And that's what we learned in sensation method. There is a level which is the vital level. So this is how Anahat means the unstruck, which is the 4th chakra, and it balances the materialistic and the spiritual approach.
Yeah, this is what we are thinking here in the Western world too.
Yeah.
So we have a few words in here which we need to explain, like sensation method and so on. But before we venture on that, I would like to hear your daughter.
Yeah.
And would love her to introduce herself. Aastha, your mic is muted.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me now?
Oh, I think Meeta has to close her mic and then you open it.
Yeah. Is it better then?
Not really. We have some influence on it.
Hi, I'm a psychology student. Hi, I'm Aastha. I'm a psychology student. I completed my graduation from Mumbai this year. And I took a drop to sit with my mom and explore more about homeopathy. And I'm learning as many therapies as I can. I recently learned mandala art therapy, and I learned a course in hypnosis. It is actually an integration of cognitive therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and clinical hypnosis. So I'm yet to go for my master's. I'll go in like 2 months now.
Yes, you are still a young person. What made you study psychology? How came it that you were interested in that topic?
You go there, I think the voice is reverberating. Yeah. Just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The voice is echoing, so we'll sit apart, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In the meantime, you might tell us what made your daughter study psychology, in case you know.
Yeah, actually, she was initially she opted for architecture, but within 6 months she realized that that is not her cup of tea, and then she, on her own, she came to me and she said, "Mama, I want to do psychology." As a child, as a youngster, she realized many of our classmates, they used to resort to her as a friend and counseling. So she knew within herself that she has that capacity to counsel. Even she was
Okay.
at that age, there were many students who were not, and her friends, many friends who were not able to talk to their parents. She used to go to talk to their parents also, explaining their point of view. So this is what we say, that the soul is already, it has all the talent within it. Is only we have to explore it. So she came one day and, "Mama, I want to drop this and I want to go for psychology." And she was welcomed with open arms.
I was worried if I'd be able to help them, because sometimes even I need other people to, like, help me go through my own problems. So I shared this with my mom, and then she told me that even doctors need other doctors. That was when I was, yeah, maybe I'll go ahead with this.
Yes, all doctors need doctors and all doctors need therapy.
Yeah.
Not each doctor does know it, but we all do. We all depend on our colleagues, and it is always very nice to have a trustful soul around where you can open the heart and really talk about those things that are important to you, with nothing in between.
This opening the heart is Anahata, the heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of my center, the Anahata Healing Foundation.
Yeah. So tell me, when I'm a client and I want to go to Anahata Foundation, what can I expect there? And what kind of clients would you prefer to have?
Yeah, so when we are expecting a client, most of now recently what is happening, I'm seeing a shift in my practice. I'm seeing many psychiatric patients. Seeing many psychiatric patients. And as you know, we have been through this pandemic. So
Yeah.
more and more people, they are affected. There are some aftermath of COVID, which we had already discussed too. So this is aftermath of COVID. We are seeing that each one of us in some way has been affected by this process of pandemic, right? So we need a deeper level of healing, because already we were in a phase in a world where, because of competition, because of ambitions, we are seeing more and more psychiatric patients recently. So patients who are experiencing a lot of anxiety, they are having lots of, personality disorders. We are seeing patients with panic disorders. We are even seeing some patients of schizophrenia. So we are trying to explore this area, and many of the diseases we believe are also psychosomatic. So if your heart chakra is open, it means you're not too much in your mind. You are here, you're connected here. So, you can see yourself in a world in a different perspective. And that is what we are trying to help our patients. Everything is not in the mind, it's here. You have to be and experience life as it is. Right.
Do you expect your clients to already doing spiritual work and doing work with the chakras, or do you teach them how to do it?
No, I just, I'm open to all the modalities. We see what level is the person, what modality will help him, because it's about their openness. So when one is coming to our center, they are not, some of them obviously know what all energy healing is. Or when they come here, when they go through the processes of interrogation, the case witnessing, we say, we can tap into their energies, what will be good for them. So we start with a normal interrogation, which we are taught in homeopathy. So that is my anchor. I'm basically a homeopath. And with homeopathy, I just go into deeper levels of their psyche. And that is how where we see where the block lies.
Okay. And here comes in the sensation method, which you need to explain.
Yeah, so sensation method is just, it's a different level of homeopathy. Before sensation method, we used to follow the contemporary homeopathy, where we had symptoms, we had provings, we had materia medica, we had our source books and literature. But with the advent of this method, what we saw is that the diseases expresses at a level which is physical, but there is some, or either mental. So, we were divided into, we practice physically, we practice on physical level or mental level. But when we went to sensation method, we saw that there are levels which is deeper than mind and body, and that's a vital level.
Yeah.
So this is a level where the vital force expresses the symptoms from, and which is the same at the level of mind and body. So we could see a similarity of patterns. We went into beyond the symptoms, beyond the expressions, and we could see patterns. And these patterns, they resonate with something in nature. It can be a plant, mineral, or animal, right? So from here, we started understanding the energy signature of a patient.
Yes.
Right? Like initially we gave lachesis on sleeping symptoms, like when the person sleeps, he gets into aggravation. That was a symptom we studied.
Yes,
but now we see that we go beyond, and we see this patient is so alert. It has the energy of a reptile. So it is so alert. He feels that the moment he's into sleep, he'll be conspired, he'll be attacked. So now what we are seeing this pattern of reptilian energy. So this is what sensation method is. We see that energy signature. We see those patterns. So this also opened up a way to healing through chakras.
I understand.
So this is because that vital sensation, vital level is the expression of chakras. We can see which chakra is blocked. So this is why I had named my institute and my center as the Anahata Healing Center. So although I may not be directly involved with healing of chakras, but I know where to look for.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So let's say I am a client with a lot of anxiety, let's say anxiety to die from COVID or from COVID vaccination, no matter what. And I can't cope with that anxiety anymore. I can't sleep, I can't eat. So I venture to go to your institute. What are you going to do?
Yeah, so when a person comes to me with anxiety, so it is obviously if it's after COVID, as you said. So first thing is there's a fear of survival, right? So we will explore this fear of survival. We'll go into the fears. What is the fear related to it? What was your experience of COVID? How do you see a world which was pre-COVID and post-COVID? So it's all about your perceptions, how bad it was for you, because some people, they just took it in the ride and they are out of it. There are some people who have really lost their close ones, so it has a different impact on them. But there are some people who are still normal, but they still have that imprint of that pandemic still deep into them. So we try to understand their perspective, and this perspective leads us to their own inner patterns, which is, your perspectives are flavored by your own filters of perception.
Yes, so let's say that client feels constantly attacked by the virus.
Yeah, so there is a sensation, there is a experience of being attacked. So he's seeing that virus is strong and is weak. So it is the feeling of attack. So what we see that some at the level of sensation, there is a animal energy here. It is me versus you. If I go weak, some strong virus will attack me. So, it is a me versus you thing. So we take these patterns deeper, and we try to find a homeopathic simillimum remedy, which somehow superficially right now we can see it is an animal. So we'll give an animal remedy. But
I understand.
Yeah, but sometimes if we are not able to come to a simillimum, then I take them to various processes of healing. And in those deeper patterns, when we go deep, there I can see the clarity. I go deep and I can see the pattern more clearly. And that process itself is a therapeutic process. going deep within that experience.
Can you explain that to me so that I know what I would face?
Right. So see, there was a patient in which she was affected by pandemic. This girl, she is around in her 30s, lady. She has not married. So she had this fear. She had these nightmares. She had this nightmares. There was a history of nightmares since childhood. But in this pandemic, because she was back to her home and she was not pursuing what she was pursuing, she was free, she experienced these nightmares again.
Okay.
Right. So when I went into her deep of these fears and nightmares, she said as if she is being attacked by snakes.
Okay.
So there were too many snakes around her, you know. She says there are snakes everywhere around, and there was so much panic. She was not able. She says it's not a single snake. There are many snakes at a time. So she says, I'm not equipped to fight this. So we can see an animal pattern, right? So
I understand.
So when we deep, she said, I have these fears since childhood. So it was nothing which the pandemic gave her. Pandemic was just a trigger of her own inner sensations, which she has been experiencing since childhood. Right? So with homeopathy, whatever knowledge I had, so I gave her a remedy, which is lac caninum, which is made from dog's milk. Right? So she was better at some level, but there was still something which needed to be addressed. Right? So I took her to some of the processes, because after that remedy, she still had these suicidal tendencies before menses.
Okay.
Right? So this was she was better on many aspects, but this aspect she was better in expressing. She was able to express. Her tantrums were less, her anxiety and anger issues were less, but she still had something which needed to be expressed. This was what I could see. Right? So I took her into a process of healing. I have learned many healing techniques just to help such patients, which somehow I'm not able to help to a level which I expect. So I did a process with her, a healing process, which we can say is an inner child healing process. Right? So in that process, I took her down, and she could come to a place where she said she remembered that she was abused in her childhood.
Okay.
Right? So normally when we did the case for so many times, I was not able to go to that level of her experience where she could remember all this. Right? So we went deeper into her, and we saw this sexual abuse in her, which she normally didn't remember at a conscious level. So when we tried to address this trauma of sexual abuse, and I did that process with her, she felt sleepy right here, and she went home and she slept, and there in her dreams she saw wolves. Right? So with my healing technique, I went deeper and I came to a remedy which, instead of lac caninum, I gave her lac lupinum, which is made from wolves.
Yes.
Because her experience of being threatened was much more than a domesticated dog. It was an experience of that wild dog. So in her consciousness, it was more syphilitic, that we can say.
I understand. Yes.
Right? So this is how I use my healing techniques to take my case into a deeper consciousness. And right? Yeah. So that's how hypnosis also comes into play. My daughter, Aastha Nihlani, she's learning all these techniques so she can also help my patients going deeper into their experience and psyche.
By learning these techniques, I realized that all of these healing modalities actually converge into one single point. So it's just basically different therapies that we use to see what actually can help the client. It works differently for different people.
Yes, it's always an individual that we are treating. But what I'm interested in is going down to this trance level to give the unconsciousness a possibility to express itself And even if it is not by speech, then by dreams, because the trauma is always deep down there, and you need to give it the possibility to vent from there, to rise up to the consciousness.
Exactly.
And this is something that not many people think of. And it's a basis of healing. This is why some people do a lot of meditation and try to reach that level, and others do hypnosis, and others do healing techniques where you can reach this level.
Right.
Or even do it by music.
Right.
So, Meeta, what made you choose the 2-point method or matrix healing as a method for yourself?
See, what happens is during this process of our healing journeys and learning journeys, we meet different people. So in one of the sensation method seminars, which we did in Himalayas, we had a very good friend who's Fons Wanderliden. So when we were doing that workshop, he introduced us to this method.
So Fons was the cause of that.
Yeah, Fons was the cause. And it will be very interesting to know that Aastha was, I think, just 8 years old that time. Aastha, you were 8 to 10 years old when she attended that workshop. She was the youngest matrix student of Fons.
I was too young to understand what was happening, and I tried it with one person, and he went into a very deeper level. And I got very scared of what I had done. But then I later realized that he had gone into a deeper subconscious part.
So see how things are destined, because we both, my husband and me, were doing that workshop with Fons. I had organized that workshop in Raipur. So we were at 22 people, and Aastha was the youngest, and she also joined us. She loved that process. So maybe this is a destiny. This is what we called as destiny. She was, I think, 10 to 12 years. Aastha, how many old you were at that time?
8 years old.
8 years old. So she did this 2-point technique to a person, and he just collapsed and he started crying. He just he went into these sobs, and it was so this is what happened. And now also that person still recently he says ki, I never had realized that men could cry. He's carrying that belief system, and that was the point he was made to realize that he's holding back his emotions, and that is the cause of his problems. So see, during these conscious case takings, when the patient is conscious and doctor is conscious, these deeply buried traumas, they don't come to the surface. And that is what happens in most of the psychiatric cases. The more you bury your trauma in the subconscious, the more psychiatric word is associated to your trauma.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So if it is on the surface, if you know what you're dealing with, if you know what you have to deal with, you can deal with it. But if it is buried deep within, so these processes, I realized a space has to be created where I can use these processes other than homeopathy.
Hypnosis also helps bridge that gap between the conscious and the unconscious.
Yeah.
Yes, and you have to give the client the room, the space to go back to there. Right. So once a client remembers the trauma, I guess this is quite a time of healing that is needed after, quite a time of therapy.
Right. So that process itself becomes therapeutic. Right. So that is the one benefit of that process. That process itself is therapeutic. And second, for me as a homeopath, I need that information to work out a simillimum for the patient. Right.
So you can go to a deeper level.
Yeah.
I understand. Yes, was Lakanainam was, as we say, a very good guess. Yeah. But it wasn't the absolute. And by digging up the trauma, you could find the absolute.
Right.
And of course, if you really match the frequency, the healing process that starts is totally different. It's a second to none thing then. So Aastha, what is it that you want to tell us about your work in the Anahata Healing Foundation?
So I assist my mom actually learning homeopathy as much as I can. And I learned a few therapies. I learned about mandala art therapy. So like all other art therapies, it also focuses not on the final product, but in the process of creation. It is the process itself is very therapeutic, and we let our it's actually a mandala is actually a Sanskrit word for completion, and we see circles all around us. Even our fingers have circles in it, and so it's just basically drawing concentric circles, and then we fill in the circles. So it helps us, our instincts and our feelings guide us through the process. And when we're done with, we have a snapshot of ourselves represented through that mandala. So I learned mandala therapy. Then I have actually done a course in music. So I have done it for 4 years now. And I want those, it focuses on 7 ragas. So that helps us deal with the frequencies better. So I want to learn music therapy now. And I want to integrate all the therapies that I learn. So there are a lot of more therapies that I want to learn. Then I started a club here in Raipur. It's just to spread awareness for mental health. It's called Young at Heart. It's Young at Heart, actually. It is after the name Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst. And so I've helped spread awareness here in my city. I bring in clients for Dr. Meeta as well.
But I see you a lot in arts. You like the painting therapy, like mandala therapy, you like the music therapy. I don't know so much about ragas. I'm not so acquainted with the Indian culture, but in my Western world, what we use now quite a lot is the solfeggio frequencies, which are attached to the chakras as well. I think just as the ragas, they must have a certain connection to chakras. Okay. And I can remember Rajan Shankaran having used ragas in his clinic for healing.
Right. I have been a part of his raga proving long back.
It was long back, yes.
Long back.
We were young then.
Yeah. So I was a part of his raga proving.
Yeah, it was extraordinary to me that time, listening to it and realizing how much healing can derive from that.
Right. So lots of research is going on healing and ragas, and how raga can, a single raga can it can act like a simillimum.
Definitely. It's a frequency.
Yeah. So maybe Aastha bridges the gap, for me to, fill in those gaps, when we are not able to enter the psyche. Like I'm using some healing techniques. So through mandala art also, she can give me a reading of the patient. Some subconscious hidden things, like what we do in a homeopathy also. During my case taking, I ask them to draw some doodles. This is what we do sometimes when we are not able to break a case, open up the case. So we ask the person to draw something abstract. But whenever we have this, we have this habit of scribbling when we are idle. So we try to see some pattern in those doodlings and scribblings. So I think that is how mandala art also helps, because some part of your consciousness is being expressed through those circles, which seem nonsense, but I think that is a place when you can express your nonsense, which is the other soul.
I don't think it is nonsense. I think that the connection to the systemic intelligence or to the divine expresses itself in the mandala.
Yeah, so divine expresses, but that is what we call the other song in homeopathy. What is the other song? You know, our academy is called as the Other Song Academy in India. So the other song is the nonsense part which is presenting. That nonsense is the real you, that is the real individuality. What I meant to say by this, the nonsense expressing, is because the wolf, like the lac lupinum case, the wolf in you is not human. It is something from nature which is expressing through you.
Yeah.
So it is a non-human specific energy of you, which we called as nonsense. But actually that is absolute sense to you as an individual.
It is your way of getting conscious.
Right. Yeah. So with nonsense, I mean your other song expressing.
Okay.
This other song is not the rational part of you.
No, maybe not.
Right? So how we see things, how we express things. So in that human expression, we use this non-human specific words.
Yes, and then our perception gets diverted.
Yeah.
And gets into illusion.
Yeah.
And our thinking and of course the action too.
Like, for example, I had a patient who was trying to express her sibling rivalry. You know, she got divorced twice, and her sister, she's having a good married companion. She is in a very good state, and this lady, she is not financially also well to do. So how she expressed her relationship with her sister, you know, she says, I love her very much, but somehow I feel that some part of me is fake. She says, I try to hug her, but you know, sometimes I hug her so tightly that she feels squeezed. Right? So this expression, you know, hugging tightly till the time that she feels suffocated. She says, I may show that I'm hugging her in front of everybody, but she says, deep down, I want to hug her so tight that she gets squeezed. And then talking to her about her relationship with her father, she says, I'm so angry with him that I can neither spit out that anger nor I can swallow it. You know, neither I can digest nor swallow. So, you know, the way she was expressing these non-human specific words are the nonsense of that person, which are showing us a pattern of something which is in nature, and that was Python, you know.
Yeah, I just thought it's like anaconda or python, what you're saying.
Right. So this is a nonsense, you know, that sibling rivalry is human. We as human do experience that. But in expressing this human nature, we are taking some non-human specific or some patterns which are not human. So there is the time where we prescribe Python, which is the absolute nonsense of your part. But it makes sense when we see sensation method and your homeopathic simile.
Yes, I understand that very well.
Right.
So when I'm a client coming to your clinic, having panic disorder,
right,
what would you say? How much time and how many consultations I will expect to have till I feel better?
Right. So this depends on how you're experiencing your panic attack and how well how you can express the deepest experiences, you know, because when I go deep in sensation method, we have level 5, right? So it's at the level 5 where we see the pattern very clearly. So if the patient is at the deeper level, we immediately can go into his subconscious. But sometimes when you're at a level which is not that deep, then it may take us few more sessions. We may take 3 to 4 sessions. But this case, which I'm talking about, you know, she could immediately express this pattern to me. So it was only one session where I could understand her patterns. But in the lac caninum patient, it took me at least 3 to 4 sessions to come to her real state. Right? So, but superficially also, whatever I gave, you know, like I gave her lac caninum. So she was better by 60 to 70%. So she was also experiencing that panic in her nightmares and also when she woke up.
Yeah.
So those nightmares made her land up into panic attacks. And later on, these converted into suicidal thoughts and all, because she was not able to cope up with this. So we required at least 4 to 6 sessions to go to lac lupinum, but lac caninum I could reach in 2 to 3 sessions.
Okay, and do you offer psychological assistance to those clients?
Yeah, if they are open to, I always take that time whenever they come to me, wherever I reach, whatever block I see in them, I try to counsel them every time so that they take something back, to deal with their problem. Like I try to tell them where this is coming from. See, this is not coming from the real recent situation, because they project everything on the recent thing. That it's because of my marriage, it's because of my boss, it's because of my mother. So, I just try to tell them, see, this is the situation, but if we take you to the past, or something of your past is coming. So I try to counsel them. You see, this is your pattern. This is not coming from the recent situation. This is coming from your perceptions. And even they realize that now my mom is not like that like she was in my childhood. Now she's working a lot with me. She's giving me so much time, but still things are happening. So when you counsel the patient, so at least that layer or that particular moment, they are able to go back and have a good conversation with their mother.
Yeah, and find peace, which is
find peace. So it's always good to counsel whenever. So I use these sessions as a counseling, but when I see that more counseling is required, so I have my assistants, Dr. Aastha, and also I have many colleagues, because she'll be again going for further studies. So I have a group of colleagues to whom I refer my patients for psychology.
Okay. Yeah. So if I would go to your clinic, I could expect that I am really cared for till I am happy again.
Right. That is the mission of Anahata.
Yeah.
Yeah. To the deepest level of your cure, like the highest mission of a physician is to heal. And it's not removing your symptoms. I'm not happy when I remove your symptoms superficially. So this is a quest, this just takes you go on and on and on, because there are so many levels of healing. And what we see many times is that healing is never linear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is sometimes we feel that, we have cleared this layer. This particular layer has been healed. But after a few years, again, we feel that something is still there.
And so you hit another layer.
Yeah, another layer. So that time again, see, for a patient, if he feels better with 1-2 sessions or 1-2 months of homeopathic treatment, they just are happy and they go back. But after 2 to 3 years, again, there may be a layer and they come back with some deeper problem. Right? So healing is in spirals. So we can always take this opportunity to heal you better, because the more you heal, the more potential you have. The more potential in you is released. So I always like to take my clients to that level of, highest potential.
Yeah, this is what life is about, isn't it?
Right.
To live your highest potential, to connect to the divine, to definitely heal yourself and get really conscious.
Right.
Go back to the here and now in every moment. Be totally self-responsible.
Right.
And it takes time to do that.
Yeah. It is time.
As long as you're blaming the mother and anybody else for your fate, it needs a bit of time.
Right.
This is what we do in consciousness training too, in my academy.
Wow. Your academy, tell us something about it.
Oh, this is the FutureLink Academy, as you see behind me.
Okay.
In this academy, I'm doing consciousness training.
Okay.
I have 4 classes. One class is called, it's a German class, need to translate it now. It's non-violent living.
Okay.
The second one is vision, mission, and purpose of life. The third one is reality and truth. And the fourth one is how to get back to trust in life.
Okay.
So it's all about trust.
It's all about trust. So actually the journey of healing is from mistrust to trust.
Definitely.
Right? It's from hopelessness to hope. So this is what it is, like how much hope you have in the present moment. So yesterday also I did one workshop with a set of people, which was the Violet Flame workshop. So that was a healing with violet flame. And again, violet is a color which has a frequency.
Definitely.
Right. So I did a whole day workshop with that. So again, it's an attempt to heal people in a group. Normally in homeopathy and counseling, what we do is we do one-to-one sessions. And as you said, it takes lots of time. So it is again a one more step in healing in a group, raising the awareness of a group.
I think that clients really profit if they have their one-to-one appointments in classical homeopathy, but do some kind of energy healing or psychology or art healing or consciousness healing on top, where they go in groups and they experience the problems of others and learn something about compassion.
Yeah. So that session yesterday ended up in a meditation with compassion. And we had the frequency of compassion and everybody had those tears. So compassion happens when the heart is open, right? So again, it comes back to Anahata.
Yeah, definitely.
And I realized just now, Aastha has this mental health club. Again, it was Jung at heart. So that heart, so that heart word is there in her this also, which I realized just now. You know, Aastha, it is Jung at heart. So if your heart is young and healthy, it means you are alive.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely. I just remember all the work of the HeartMath Institute they did, and about heart rate variability and explaining coherence work to people. But in the end, we are going all to the same thing, that if your heart is closed, if you are very restricted in your emotions, you can't be healthy.
Right, absolutely.
And you can't have a happy life.
You can't have a happy life. So it's the journey from the head to heart. It's only 12 inches. But this is the longest journey one can ever experience, you know, the journey from this head to heart and back.
You know, I had a near-death experience, and when I was over to the other side, that was the first thing my guide of consciousness asked me. He said, "What is the longest distance in the universe?"
Right.
And I came to the answer, the distance from heart to head.
Heart to head.
Or head to heart.
Yeah, it's 12 inches.
Yes, but still is the longest journey to take. Okay, my dear colleagues, may I ask you for your closing words? I think we did give a client the knowledge about what they can expect if they go to your foundation, what kind of healing they will find. And I only can recommend that, because it's one step more. It's not only classical homeopathy, it goes beyond, and that beyond is needed.
So the closing statement from my end, it will be like, just keep on working on yourselves, keep on raising your consciousness from wherever you are in whatever way you can. You know, it's not that we here can do it through spirituality. A person who is dedicated to his own work, he can do it through anything. You know, even if you grow flowers, if you are into business of flowers, you know, just send that love, just open your heart, just do whatever you do with an open heart, you know. And that is how, whenever you're giving that rose to somebody, just bless that rose so that that wave of compassion is there. So it's, you know, like even if I pay somebody, I just have a habit of blessing that money so that that blessings go on further. So it's just being more true and connected to yourself and being truthful, and it's be authentic is the new mantra. Even if you have something, you know, we as humans have our shadow, right? So we have to be in that journey of understanding who we are with our shadows, embracing our own shadows and embracing other with their shadows. So it's just being in that non-judgmental space, which is what we are striving for. It's being in the heart spaces and doing our work and be in this world, using our heads, obviously.
Thank you. Aastha?
There's this line that I would like to share. It was by Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and call it fate. So I'd also like to say how important it is for us to sit with ourselves, to be working on our selves. And it's not just homeopathy, we need other forms of therapies as well to come at one with ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much. I did post your website, Evolve to Heal, and we hear what it is about. It is Evolve to Heal. I did post your website in the comments so that everybody who wants to get into contact with your healing foundation can do that, and I highly recommend to do so.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a nice Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to you. Bye-bye.